Hey guys, good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Great to see you guys show up here at our Connect event from ADE. But for now, we're going to kick off with showing you guys how we made our collab with Tiësto, ZENLESS.
Actually, it's a track that we've created in Bangkok. As you can see in a lot of those stems, it's called Closing Track Bangkok.
Started it at 1 October,
1 October, yeah.
about a year ago.
About a year ago.
Apparently.
Yeah. Actually, we played it during Amsterdam Dance Event for the very first time. And then we received a message from Thijs from Tiësto on Instagram, I reckon. Yeah. And then he sent over, what is this track? Is it already finished? Is it out? So we sent him over a demo of this very first version, and then we called it Closing Track Bangkok. We sent it over, he played it in Vegas for a couple of times, and then he gave us a bunch of feedback, which we just got in the track. And then we finished it, and then this huge ass game in China, which is called ZENLESS Zone Zero, jumped on the song, and that's where the vocal mix is coming from. But we're going to show you the instrumental mix. So let's kick off.
All right. Just a small remark before we get started. We want this to be as interactive as possible. So if you have a question, just raise your hand, and we will just answer questions in turns. So we're going to kick off with showing you guys the record. For those who are not familiar with it, I'm going to show you quickly what it's like, what it sounds like.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Right. So that's the track. It's already out. So it's nothing. It's not an exclusive track. So, but yeah, we actually tend to make it. It was the first version that we made was way more like deep housey in a way, but we thought of the record could be a little bit more main stage in a way. So the record would be a little bit more main stage. That was what Tiësto also asked for in this case. So that was for us a noticeable thing for the bass actually and the kick, which are in the first drop obviously the most important part of the track. So let's play them together, and then we can explain what we did. So as you can see, So as you can see, we have the kick already bounced because we did like lots of processing on the kick already, and sometimes it's just better to see like visually what you can do with a stem instead of like a processed kick, and you just have like 4 or 5 equalizers, which are, that's just not very, we're already very unstructured, so we have to keep it up sometimes, like being a little bit more structured in a way. As you can see, we already did that also with the bass, but that has a different reason, because we use a lot of analog outboard gear on this bass. We can show you what we did in the bass group, how we made this bass.
So to be clear, this group here is the same as this, but this one is resampled and this one is, well, the sub is also resampled. I think this is a Serum sub, right?
No, Moog.
Moog?
Yeah.
Even Moog. Wow.
Oh.
Even Moog, wow. We also use Serum a lot for subs, but somehow with Moog you always get the trick done. It doesn't have to be the most expensive Moog, by the way.
No.
You can already, I think, buy a mini tower. Those we're not sponsored by Moog, by the way, but they're just incredible. So, like, not sure if you guys know the mini tower. They're the small black boxes. I think about 400 euros or so. I mean, it's still a lot of money, but it's not like you have to have the biggest, baddest Moog to get a good sub out of it. Yeah, so here we use Nexus preset from the Future Rave pack. It's just with Nexus, especially Nexus 4, they gave way more possibilities to tweak your sounds, which we like, and you can just browse presets, and if you know what knobs to turn, you can use it as like a complete synthesizer, whether it would be like Serum or whatever. So we use this preset called Over the Top. We tweaked it a little bit here.
As you can see, yeah.
The filter of Nexus is always a little bit weird, but you, just tweak until you get the right sound. So we got rid a little bit of the high end because otherwise the emphasis of this bass is too much on the high end. I can show you if I solo it. Can we turn it up, or is it gone? It's gone. There it is. Yep. Turning off the EQ. Yep. So if I go back, it's on -30 now. Put it to 0. It's on -13.
It's just that slight, like high-end part, what you don't want, because it's also like even if you have a Pro Q or an equalizer after this, it just sounds different. The attack, the punch of the bass will just be a little bit more concentrated to the middle part of the bass, which is for us works in this case.
I think you can also see it in the EQ. So right now you can see the emphasis of the attack is more like here. Whether if you turn this down a little bit, you can see the attack becomes lower. You're gonna filter it out anyway later on. So it's now a little bit more to the left. You're gonna filter it out anyway. So if you take it away in the source in Nexus or in Serum, same story, whatever synth you're using, your signal will become better and your bass will be more powerful. That's basically what's going on here. So we got rid of the high end here of the low end because that's where the Moog is taking over. We're gonna go to that. Unless you want, do you want to talk more?
Yeah,
about
just
the high bass?
just a little bit of.
Because there's quite a lot on the chain as well.
Quite a lot on the chain, which is for the sound pretty important. Yeah, we use the clipper, but it's not doing anyway. But just a little bit of saturation. This is actually a great plugin. I think it's free even.
Yeah,
it's free. It's sick. It just does the job very good. A little bit of soft clipping, saturation, which just works for this bass. Makes it just even more dirty. If you can check it out.
Yeah. Don't forget to write it down or take a picture or whatever. So I mean, it's free. Grab it.
Yeah, true. We're Dutch. No.
Hey guys, welcome. Good to see you.
So then we have this equalizer, which Lucas already showed. That's doing a lot actually. Yeah. We tend to use always like certain frequencies in the low end range, which are based on the Mazalek EQ. For this case, it's just 92, 179, and 400, which is I don't know, it just works. Then we have a shaper box, which is obviously super important. That's doing the sidechain for this one. And then after the sidechain, which is very unusual because the sidechain should be normally what you would say the last part of the chain because of the sucking effect, which also sounds weird, but you get what I mean. And then you have this, Then we have the Saturn, and that's also doing just a little bit of saturation, not doing too much actually. Be careful with Saturn, because if you put it on, it's always like getting very, very loud, so be careful. Everything which you put in should be put out at the same level in this case. Then a Kickstarter, but we didn't use it. So that's why I said we're very unstructured, but yeah, it's just the way we work. Then this is a monster. This is very, very good. I don't know if you know it. It's Waves Factory Track Spacer. It's just something that a normal sidechain or something like that wouldn't do. It's sorry for the cracking. It's very, very good, and it works in a way that so it's a sidechain actually. We put it on the main kick in this case. There it is. And then just a slide. You can see it right here. Attack is on 0.10 milliseconds, and this is on 10 milliseconds. And I can show you how much space you create using this plugin. Yeah, thank you. So this is this is great for especially bass because we are sidechaining only the low part of this bass, and we already cutted it out, but there is always some sonic things going on in the low end, especially if you're cutting low end, then this is just a great plugin.
Sometimes we also route it because in Ableton you can do it here in the sidechain section. So now we routed our kicks through it, but you can also, if you're using two basses, you can also route your sub through your high bass. So your sub basically pushes away those low frequencies in your high bass, and it makes them fit together perfectly well.
Then after this track spacer, be careful with using it too much. It's only on 40%. Then we did a dynamic bell, but then I had 108, is just a little bit. Then 320, just a small boost, and to give that punch, what Lucas already told in this bass is this part. It's just if you boost it, loads, then I don't know, it just works very good. So we decided to boost that, and afterwards there is just a sound shifter, and that's doing that really weird part in those small breaks. That's it, actually, for this bass. Yeah. On the sub, we just use a R bass, and this is a great plugin. I have actually no idea how you would explain a R bass, but it just does the job. You just search a frequency where you should boost it, and then be careful with intensity. Just a little.
I think it's some kind of automatic preset multi-band compression. Well, it's one band, but it's set to a specific band. It's made for bass, so that's probably where it's doing some compression things and warming up and getting those frequencies out that you want to be.
And that's
out.
The kick and the bass, and they just work very well. As you can see, we didn't group like the kick and the bass because sometimes we tend to do it sometimes because it's nice and it just glues everything together, but sometimes it's also just great to do this gluing thing in your master chain because then you just have a little bit more headroom for doing stuff like really pushing.
Mm-hmm. I think for this record, another really bless you.
Sorry.
Nice beatbox.
Yeah.
Should record it.
That, yeah.
We are recording, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
We can use that for the next song.
Next tune. So another very important thing in this record is, of course, that main lead sound. Unfortunately, we resampled it not just once, but many, many times. I think we left it in the original version in Bangkok. The original lead is still there.
There are we resampled this because it's actually a super weird sound. Like it doesn't make sense. Like the reverbs are super wide. The synth is just very there are some parts that are very mono. I don't know what it is, but that makes it also special. That's why we told you at the start, it's sometimes good to resample it because you can see how it works. Like we can just see it. There's nothing on this besides. No, I think there's really nothing on this.
I hear, yeah. This is.
And that's just nice.
Boarded this, well. To do some recreation stuff of how we made this sound is it's actually a sample, just a rave step. If you look on Splice or in whatever sample bank and you look for a rave step, you will find sounds like this one. Of course, we've processed it and resampled a dozen of times, but you can do it as well. Just mess around with it until you find something cool. We made a rhythm with it, obviously. Filtered, but you get the idea. Just to show quickly how we made this rolling effect that we have in the breaks, because that's what we always get a lot of questions about. So it's increasing in speed. Another time it's slowing down. And I showed you. Sorry, say it. Oh, I thought you had a question. Feel free. Okay. So I just made a quick, just as an example, sound in Serum. Some saw lead. Added an arpeggiator to it. You can do it in Ableton or Logic or whatever DAW you're using, and then just start automating the rate of your arpeggiator. So you can see also here it's slowing down and speeding up. And after that, for the drops, we just made in MIDI a rhythm, and that's just something you make it rule. And you don't have to automate that. It's just something like, yeah, there you go. Yeah, something in that direction. So it's very characteristic for the lead that we're using in the record. I'm going to show you how we did it, and this is something we do a lot these days, whether it's on vocals, on
lead synths,
leads all the time. Sometimes percussion. It's just gaining control over your reverbs, your, I don't know, maybe distortion, whatever you're putting on these channels. So here in Ableton, we're using the audio effect rack, and what we're doing here is duplicating the signal. So if you open up this this plugin, you click here and you get this chain. This is like the nothing happened. It's like the regular signal. You duplicate it for another, because you want to add an effect. So chain is the main thing. Here I'm going to add reverb, so I'm naming it reverb. Getting Valhalla on there for reverb. Important, set it to mix 100%, because you're going to use these volumes here to blend your dry and your wet signal. So I'm going to make Serum to, so you can hear the difference better. I'm going to
shut up with the reverb.
Yeah, completely dry. All right, and here now you have the reverb channel. I'm gonna solo it, exaggerating it a little bit, making it a little more bright with the now color setting. Okay, so now we have a reverb, 100% wet. What we're gonna do now, and this is where the money is, we're gonna duck it. So we're gonna look for a compressor and get it on this reverb channel behind the reverb. Then you're gonna route with a sidechain the exact same channel. So you can see here, can you see the mouse? Yeah. You see the channel that we're using right now. It's called synth roll example. So we're gonna look for that. It's here. So what will happen is that this signal, as soon as it's played, it will hit your compressor and it will start ducking your reverbed sound. Setting the threshold right. Now it's right above the threshold, and we're gonna push it down now. So what you will see, make it hit immediately, so set the tag to 0. I like to release at 45 milliseconds. And what will happen now, so we have the dry signal, that will hit first, and after that the reverb will hit. And there it is. So this is, so here it takes some time for the reverb to hit. Let me just adjust the MIDI so you can hear it more easy. Yes, and loop it. So here this ducking effect.
Now, kick and bass, and you have a song, right? No. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a very nice just way of controlling reverbs. It's not Lucas already said we not just do it with reverb. It's also We use it with like vocal chains. It's just a way to get a little bit more control instead of doing. It's actually something that we do in just parallel, because in Ableton you don't have that, like the groups. You have groups, but like returns, like in Pro Tools or whatever. This is just a nice way of creating structure, but also just a little bit more control of how you use your reverbs, delays, but also stereo widening. Everything actually. Everything. It just works very, very good.
So one more thing I would love to show in this chain, what you're actually doing is building an effect chain where you have maximum control. So you have this reverb thing I just talked about. If you want that reverb, I'm going to solo it again. If you think it's too boxy, just get rid of the mids.
And then this is without like really destroying the original sound.
Yeah. Because you're making space. Same goes for the for widening. If you have your
this is actually a great plugin.
This is incredible. Yeah, it's in the Waves bundle. It should be there in like every Waves basic bundle. But if you get rid a little bit of the center and you add it to the sides, you will see that your dry signal will hit more in the middle, and then your reverbs go
to the side.
They go to the side. So you have that reverb on the side. It's ducked to the original signal. You have it equalized, so it doesn't conflict with the dry signal, and it's also way wider than the original signal. So it's a great effect. And this is actually exactly how we created this sound, but then with that sample. You hear the ducking?
With sidechain, yeah. But it's we use it a lot, and it's a super nice thing to make also your track a little bit more special. Like sometimes you're searching for certain like a creativity thing or whatever. Then this is really the way to go, to just drop in an effect rack, an audio effect rack, and just play around with that instead of just do everything to that original signal, because that's where you mostly gonna destroy everything, or just put everything on like 7 reverbs, 12 delays, whatever, and then everything gets a little bit too much, and you lose control.
Cool. Yeah. I do have a couple of more sound design things. Is
sure.
Anything you want to talk about first before I dive in, or
go crazy?
I was sticking with sound design for just a couple of minutes.
Are there questions already for people? No. Okay.
Great. Yeah, it's good to check every now and then. Absolutely right. So this record has been an absolute playground for sound design, because there's a lot of space. There's a very special lead going on, and because of the tight bass that we have in that lead, there's quite some space in between to make stuff pop out, right? So we have that horn in the beginning of the record, the brass. And what I'm going to show you now is actually it's very applicable to every synth. So what you will see here is how simple sound design can be sometimes. So as you can see, it's Serum. We have 3 voices here, a little bit of detune going on to make it wide and make it a little dirty. Another even dirtier saw wave with way more detune, and 8 voices, as you can see. The horn sound as always have a slow attack in your filter. So that's what we did here in envelope 2. Slow attack, routed it to the filter here. Not a very strict filter, it's only 12 dB. This is where this sound becomes very distinctive, is that we used FM modulation here. We routed oscillator B to oscillator A, and we did that here with FM. And we got the same envelope routed to there. We also got that envelope to the drive of the filter, and we also got it to another distortion here, the drive and also the mix. So what you get is that along this curve, it's driving distortion in the distortion section, but also in the filter section, it's also routed to the filter, also to FM. So every time it does that slow attack decay thing, it will work all across the synthesizer, and that's what's making it sound so big. Same trick here. Also the ducking, compression, reverb, and equalizing chain on there We did the same thing here with an H delay, so also delay gets ducked by the dry signal. So it's the same trick as we just explained. Then we got one more thing, and then I'll shut up about sound design. I just really love it, so, well, can talk days about this. So also here we call this LNS chicken lead, and if you hear it, you know why.
Yeah, definitely a chicken.
I don't think we need to explain that. And also here we have some FM going on, not modulated with an envelope this time. Sound is really short. It's here also some unison, three voices and one voice here with I can has kick. It's a
reset.
Yeah, it's a wavetable you can choose.
Yeah.
And serum. Everything's very short, and then in here too. That's important for this sound. You can apply this also a lot to many sounds. Is that you want to keep it moving all the time. So you can, if you use a very simple synth and you do a rhythm like this, it might get boring. But here what you can notice is that every time the synth gets triggered, it's a little bit different. And that has to do with a couple of things. It's the flanger that's having some that's altering the sound every time it hits. You can set that here on the rate. The chorus is kind of constant actually, but I think this is important here. The WT position of this wavetable right here, it's moving also all the time. So we set an LFO to that. Now it's even pitching, but that's also making sure that every time the synth gets triggered, it's a little bit different, and that's what making this one interesting. That was my monologue on sound. Sorry for that.
Okay, so then we can get to a little bit of because most of the sounds that we discussed are in there. What is important then left, and that's probably how we did the mix and master of this song, because that is quite important, especially for quite an empty drop. If the drop, that drop just needs to be really big on great systems. I think we did quite a great job on how it sounds and how it reflects on the dance floor, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what we want. We want to make people dance and make people smile. So we're going to explain how we approach the mix on this.
I said it's true.
Yeah. So as you already know, we did the kick and the bass. There we are with this. Then we have this main brass sounds. Then we have this drum section over here, an FX noise. This is actually also quite nice. Some loops from Splice that just tend to work. Then some ARPs that are really nice. So this has to work on big systems, and that's why we how we did our master chain is always quite. If you can see it right here, this is what's on the master. Before we start, this is actually quite our go-to master chain. We just use it when we start making music. Well, we start making ideas or whatever. It's just we blast this on. Without some additions, and then that's how we just attempt our track and how we just roll into the mix and production. As you can see, we start with a reverb, but that's only for the automation on the master. So if you want to build and drop, then sometimes it's just nice to just give it a little bit of reverb just before the drop. As you can hear, this is the reverb on the master. Then we have an automation of a filter. Just a filter cutting out the low frequencies. We also do this in the intro, by the way, especially here. So it's actually pretty weird. Normally we wouldn't do this, but as you can see, the whole first start of the song until the first drop is only this part is with bass. But then at the start of the first break, there's the filter again. So we don't have any lows. There you go. This is how we just start a track. And it just gives way more impact if you just drop this. There it is. And then this is not working. So there you go. So then we have the filter, but it's automation. And then what we always do before we get into our mix and master chain is utility. And that's a gain right just before we hit our first compressor, and that's the SSL. And this is actually just doing nothing. It's just a sound that we like, and I will show you how it sounds. It's especially the analog knob that does the trick. So it's nothing, it's just doing nothing. Threshold is on 0, and the makeup gain is on 3.5 because we got rid of 2 dB. Just a very, very nice compressor. It's from Waves, and it's just our go-to compressor for the first our first compressor.
It's funny. It's like it's supposed to emulate a Jeebus compressor from SSL, the analog thing. It's
we used the original one. We used the Universal Audio one. We used some other stuff from SSL itself, but
they're all different. So
all different.
This is not like the analog one. That's for different purposes. But it's just if you have this setting, it just gives a very nice color to your track.
That's the only color that this master chain will get, because our mix is just, if the mix is good, then you don't have to color it on your master chain. That's very, very important. So please keep your master chain as clean as possible, especially, or that's the way how we like color in your sounds, in your track, in your bass, in your kick, but don't color it on your master chain because you will lose just attack, punch, and also headroom. So that's the first compressor. Then we have an equalizer, getting rid of those stereo, because it's on stereo. As you can see, the S right here. Getting rid of under 30. Sorry?
Yeah, I was going to say right-click for stereo options.
Yeah, so there you go. Stereo placement, sides. So we get rid of all the side information on the low end of this. Then we boost it a little bit, around 365, and a little bit those white signals, like the heads and that kind of stuff. So just a little bit more of those stereo binding. That's actually nice. Then we have this one. It's actually the classic OTT. It's the OG, right?
Yeah.
This is the OG OTT. There you go. This is the setting that we always use. And the thing is, what makes it very special, we just use it a little bit. It's like the Ableton OTT. As you can hear, if I boost it like 100%, then it will get very squashed. That's just way too much. And we use this in the drops, but in there we go, sorry. In the breaks, it's on 100% because the breaks can be squashed a little bit more because there's less information. And in the drops, there is just way more information, kick, bass, main lead, more transients as well. So we just get rid of this 100% thing, and it's going down by 33%. So as you can hear, especially in those breaks, it's just quite squashed in a way, but it just works. And then actually it opens up in the drop. This will make your track sound just way more dynamic and way more interesting to listen to, instead of just doing 33% for 4 minutes long. Because now you can it's just also a tech thing, less information in the drops. You can push it just a little bit more, more information in the drops, or in the break, sorry, and more information in the drops means less compression and just a little bit more open, and just more transients. Then this one. Yeah, this is just the preset, loud and punchy. And then 6 dB. And then the trick, this is not doing anything, no. The trick that we use quite often nowadays is a utility. We got rid of this 2 dB in front. We can push it just a little bit louder by using a utility, the gain right, in front of a sausage fender. You will think, why would you use a sausage fender on your master chain? Because it works very good. It's just, you don't touch the knobs, it's just 0, 0, 0%. The only thing that it does is, because we have a gain right of 2.5 dB in front of the sausage fender, that means that the sausage fender is going to clip. And a sausage fender as a clipper is fucking amazing, because it sounds super punchy, very powerful. Not for every track, but for this track, especially the first drop, it's just a massive difference if we just turn this off. There we go. So this is without the sausage fender. Yeah, it's not bad. But there we go. I mean, listen to the kick. So this is really sick. It's just, I don't know, we had it as a tip from Kevin Granger, who is an amazing mix engineer, and now we use it just every day. It's amazing.
I think with regard to this, it's important to note that if you see the sausage fender and you play, so once more, Steve already said it, but all knobs are turned down. You can see that it's doing something on that little light above of gain, and it's coloring red because of that utility before that. So without the utility, it's really doing nothing, and with the utility, it's pushing, I think, 2.5 dB, exactly. And it's just punching it into that sausage fender, and that's what's creating the effect. Also, can you play the record one more time with the Pro L opened up?
Yeah.
Because to get that plus 6 dB right there into perspective. So you see right now, it's important to note that the 6 dB, it's taking the peak, so it's not squashing and smashing it yet. That's happening later on. Otherwise, if you would do that, you couldn't do that sausage fender trick, because the signal would already be too smashed.
Yeah. Don't check out, like, it's not about numbers. It's just how, like, everything. Yeah. How everything works off each other. So don't think, the first start I started with 2 dB, minus 2 dB on my mix chain. Now I can boost this 2 dB, because that just don't make sense, because the 2 dB here depends on how you started with your kick, your bass, your main synth, how they work off each other. That's very, very important. So don't check out numbers, just listen very, very carefully and see how a plugin, in this case, responds on transients. Instead of minus 2 dB, I can boost whatever, somewhere about 2 dB in my mix bus or whatever. Then the last thing is also pretty important, because we got it. This is the sausage fender trick is only in the drops. I made an automation in this group, so it's only in this part. As you can see, in the second drop turned off. So that means this is not my clipper anymore. This is not my go-to clipper now. So this will become my new clipper. And that means that you have to check out the character of the ozone, because my sausage fender is not used as the maximizer or the clipper at the end. then the ozone becomes a new one in the breaks. So there you go. Now it's doing nothing. Now it is my clipper. So that means that we can use the character just a little less. You can have this on clipping. You can also have it a little bit less, and then it means that it just breathes a little bit more because we used it 100% on the OTT, as you can see right there. So we thought this is just nice to have it a little bit more breathing in the breaks. So we used it on 150, I reckon. Yeah, there you go, 150. So it's not doing too much. It's not clipping. That's just my end go-to in the breaks. And in the drop, the sausage fanners becomes the clipper again, and we use the OTT or the ozone as the ditter. Working. Not working. That's how you create way more dynamics in your whole track. And it's super important to just be. I see a lot of people doing stuff on their master chain, which is incredible, like standard clippers and waves and whatever. But it's just, or it's too colorful, or it's just the way they use it is just the whole song the same. Like using a Pro L, using a multiband dynamics or a multiband compressor from FabFilter or OTT or whatever, and they just have the whole song on 10%, 33% or whatever. It just doesn't create any liveness to your whole song. If you do this kind of stuff to your master chain instead of, like in a lead, what Lucas already explained, you create liveness and dynamics by doing automations and stuff. Why would you don't do that on your master chain as well? So that's how we learn to create a little bit more dynamics and especially liveness to a song. In this case, in this club song, but we use it. We do this all the time. Every like master chain, mix chain, basses, kicks, leads, vocals, automations, because it makes your track different than the rest.
Yeah, alive.
Alive.
Yep.
Alive and kicking.
Yeah. And then in the end, you can see the result on loudness. So we're here around -4
Yeah,
dB. Sometimes minus 3.8, 3.6.
Minus 4 RMS.
Yeah.
So that's quite loud.
And that's
very
important
loud.
because you want to beat all those other records on your USB stick.
Loudness war.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's not the most important thing, but it's just nice that if someone, like for instance, in this case, Tiësto plays the record, he plays like loads of tracks that are very loud. So you don't want to, like, if he plays this song, then the volume is just lower than the other tracks that he's playing. Then the impact is less, and that's not what you want for this track.
And also, so that's the live aspect. But if you send out your track to Tiësto, whoever, or other colleagues, and we want them to play it, loudness is perceived as nice and powerful, right? So if they compare and they are making their set list, they are more likely to play very loud tracks than less loud records.
Exactly.
I think we have to move on to the next part.
Are there questions about anything of this song record? Amazing.
I see one right here. Also.
All right.
Get the microphone. Hello.
Yeah.
You kind of talked a lot about sound design, and then you've talked a lot about the mastering.
Mixing,
Yeah, as a up-and-coming producer, what would you say, like, give us like a top 5 important plugins to really understand maybe technically, but also invest in that you can maybe use across your whole song, not just for one little thing?
That's an awesome question.
Yeah, good question.
Great. I think a must-have, if you're a little further in the process, but it can really help you, and it's just an easy fix, is OTT. Are you familiar with the OTT? So Steve talked about the Ableton version, the OG one. Don't set it to too many percents, and there's also the trick that you have the downward and upward knobs. Set them to 50% and then start tweaking the dry wet, and then you go to sometimes 10, sometimes 30, but never really higher than that, and it will just squeeze in. You can use it for a number of things, but it will squeeze your signal to a nice, very smooth way, also for sound design, but also if you're mixing. You can glue together your king and your bass, for example, or a whole group of synths together.
OTT, how we use it, always how we start using it is this. So upward on 50, downward on 50. Normally, I think the starting point is 100 and 100. We use it 50, 50, 20, because it's just less. You can just do this more instead of 1% on 100 and 100. And it just sounds a little bit more like less plastic, which is OTT is pretty plastic, but it's amazing. But sometimes.
Would you do that on an individual sound? Or
absolutely.
On just a group?
We use it on a lot, like vocals, bass. Like for instance, the first demo that we made for this version is we grouped the kick and the bass and used an OTT. Bam, 10% probably, and I don't know. There's great.
Off. Oh, sorry, I muted it.
In this case, it doesn't make it any better, but it's just a nice way of just grouping things, and whatever it works, we use it on loads of stuff. It's a very nice plugin. So that's a go-to one. The other one is Track Spacer, the one that we talked about for the bass group. There you go. It's not on this one. Yeah, there it is. This one, it's actually a nice, just a like a very nice way to sidechain. Instead of, people are using loads of the shaper box stuff, which is nice, by the way.
Great, yeah.
But they always use Kickstarter, shaper box, whatever. Very great plugins, but sometimes you just want to sidechain certain frequencies. You can also do that with Shaperbox, by the way, but this is just something different. I don't know. There is this thing inside this Waves Factory that makes it just a little bit nicer and way more clean. And also, I don't know, it just does the trick for creating space for leads, vocals, kick and bass or whatever. This is very, very good. A good plugin that we use always.
Yeah. Yes. Definitely. Now I'm thinking I'm looking at the time. I'm gonna quickly name 3 other things. One to start, it's not a plugin, but I talked about this earlier about some Moog synthesis. If you want to learn about sound design, get some hardware and like literally twist the knobs. For me personally, and I think for you as well, that made a huge difference, since your brain just does something special when you have real knobs that you're turning.
Yeah.
You can translate that to Serum, Silent, Nexus, like Diva, anything you're using. Just you don't have to look for the most expensive one. It's a lot of fun. They sound great, and you will learn so much about envelopes, LFOs, filters, how to route it all together.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The fourth one, Sausage Fattener. It's very cheap and amazing, as we showed.
And like an all-round go-to compressor that I really like is R compressor from Waves. Like R, literally just a ladder compressor. You can use it on everything.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
All right. That was it for the questions. All right. Nice. Hope you learned something of this master class.